Welcome to the SVG-TV news for Friday, April 17th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. The Caribbean Public Health Agency on Thursday reported 7 negative COVID-19 results for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 2 of these negative tests are for patients under isolation as part of the medical clearance process. The other 5 results were all import-related suspected cases. The number of confirmed COVID-19 cases reported in SVG to date remains at 12. And the Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Luke Brown, said they are currently 6 pending results.
Experience resolved symptoms. This is apart from the original recovered patient. So these 5 additional persons, they have no more symptoms and they have already obtained 1 negative test result. If we are able to have a second negative test result, it means that they will be medically cleared. So it means that we're in a scenario where about half of the persons who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 would be possibly deemed to be recovered in the next couple of days. So we're keeping an eye on that development generally because of its significance. And, we just thank God that we have not experienced any severe cases of COVID-19 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to date. They've all been mild. It has always been possible for them to be managed at home.
In an effort to keep Vincentians safe from COVID-19, the Health Minister is reminding the public to continue to practice the basic but highly effective public health measures.
This comprehensive strategy includes the physical distancing, it includes hand hygiene, respiratory etiquette, it includes, asking persons who are sick to stay at home. It includes looking aggressively for confirmed cases, and if they are confirmed cases, isolating them and managing them. And it includes keeping persons in quarantine where necessary, and quarantine is a particularly important point as well. As far as the wearing of masks in public concern, I think that it is fairly clear that we should reserve specialized masks like the N95 mask for persons who are involved in the health services, and that it is possible for us to use maybe cloth mask, and I see that there's a movement in that direction.
Minister Brown said the inspection of the isolation center at Argyle was carried out today with the hope of the facility being operational by next week.
In Argyle, and this delegation consists of the permanent secretary in the ministry, the Cuban ambassador, the 4 Cuban doctors that arrived as a part of the brigade, the project manager for the isolation center project, and they're basically carrying out an inspection that is a part of the completion exercises with respect to that facility. We of course expecting that we would have it in hand by this weekend, and next week we're hoping to commence operations at that facility.
In reference to the PCR equipment to do in-country testing, the health minister said they have not yet arrived and maintained that they were delayed by action taken by the U.S. authorities.
Before commenting fully on it, but I know that from our experience we've had issues getting items out of the United States for restrictions we have been advised, which have been applied. And we do a type of testing called PCR testing, which has been described as the gold standard where testing is concerned. So we're doing this, but we have another type of testing option open to us. This is the rapid test. We're able to do this on using some of the kits that we recently received from Venezuela, and I know that in the private sector efforts are being made to secure some rapid testing kits as well.
Meantime, Minister Brown noted that approximately 40,000 surgical masks were received today from the Republic of Taiwan, China. He also reported that the government is in the advanced stage of bringing home Vincentian sailors. He said that hopefully by next week the logistics will be in place for the more than 500 sailors to return home.
We make arrangements with one company, and then we have other companies to contend with. I think that the global number that we're looking at, as I have been advised, is that something of the order of 3,000 Vincentians might be working on cruise ships. And I don't think that that is the number which is at stake to come back home now. But it is something which would guide our thinking on the subject. I think immediately we are looking from different locations and different vessels. We are looking at trying to bring up to probably 500 persons home. So it's a significant operation and undertaking, but we are trying to manage it in the best way possible with all the public health considerations at the forefront of our mind, and also the fact that, if you are of intention, you are of intention.
The sailors, however, will have to be tested for COVID-19 prior to travel. Customers of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Electricity Services Limited, VINLEC, are expected to benefit from its COVID-19 package, which will see a 15% reduction on the basic energy charge on all electricity accounts applicable for the months of April, May, and June. Also, no VAT will be applied to electricity accounts for domestic customers, hotels, and guest houses for 3 months starting this month. The support measures for customers were outlined by Chief Executive Officer of VINLEC, Thornley Myers, in an interview with the API.
A reduction in the payment as we provide to them. Currently they are at 45, they get 45 cents for every unit. That will be reduced by 15%. So they will see a 15% reduction in the energy they buy from us, and we will reflect a 15% reduction in the amount we pay them for every kilowatt hour in terms of the energy. Yes, so because clearly we are, the issue is here, we are selling energy at a low cost. We can't sell energy at a lower cost and continue to buy from you at the same.
Other benefits announced by the electricity company include a moratorium on disconnection of electricity services for customers whose accounts were not in arrears by more than 60 days before March 20th. All other customers are asked to contact the office to discuss payment terms. In addition, Myers said VINLEC will waiver the reconnection fee for all customers whose accounts were previously disconnected. Customers with renewable energy generating systems will also see a corresponding reduction of 15% in the amount paid by VINLEC for the energy that is purchased by the company.
For the ordinary domestic customer who paid 50 cents per kilowatt hour, that rate would now be 42.5 cents per kilowatt hour. For the customer who paid 42.5 cents per kilowatt hour, they will down now to that's about 36 cents kilowatt hour. For commercial customers who paid 54 cents per kilowatt hour, they now be paying 45.9 cents per kilowatt hour. So all of the base rate now being reduced by 15%. That does not include the fuel surcharge. So customers will need to take care of that. Why not the fuel surcharge? The fuel companies haven't given us a discount on fuel.
VINLEC has added a toll-free number, 377, for customers who are directly impacted by the financial fallout as a result of COVID-19. The company's CEO said they will continue to monitor the developments of the pandemic locally and globally and intends to follow the guidance provided by the relevant health agencies. Local companies have been reporting a slow payment of bills for the month of March. This was around the time when the country contracted its first case of COVID-19. Executive Director of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Anthony Regisford, told SVG-TV News the slow or lack of bill payments could affect cash flow.
Okay, people, because the company is lenient at this point, people are taking advantage of that. So they're not rushing to pay their bills, and that's going to impact cash flow. It's going to impact the cash flow of the business. You're seeing that in the hire purchase sector as well. In the hire purchase sector, I spoke to at least one major provider of, hire purchase goods, furniture, home appliances, and there's a definite fall off in demand there. But apart from that, people are using the leniency of the of the provider to defer their monthly payments,
Regisford said while he understands persons will use their money to purchase essential goods and services, they must also ensure they should also ensure that they meet their other obligations. He also noted that that one telecommunications company has reported that it has seen a decrease in demand for its service.
Speaking of Flow here, because they are doing, landline, mobile phone, and internet. Okay, they're feeling a slowdown in people topping up their phones. And why is that? Well, people are staying home more. So you stay home, you've got Wi-Fi. Okay, you're going to use Wi-Fi. Okay, you're not going to chew up your data. If you're on the move, that's what you use. Okay, so incremental revenues for them is a worrisome issue. The Wi-Fi and the internet that they use at home, that's a flat fee.
Diversification is a concept synonymous with sectors such as agriculture. However, other areas are seeing the benefit of this concept with the economic strain brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. The global tourism and hospitality industry has been one of the hardest hit, and the situation here in SVG is no different. Among the affected local stakeholders are dive shops who traditionally rely on visitors to keep their operations going. Today, our news team caught up with the manager and owner of Serenity Dive, Vaughn Martin, who said diversification has always been part of his business model, as they do provide services to locals wishing to gain a diver certification, along with the traditional dive services. Martin said the impacts of COVID-19 has cut down a tremendous part of their business operation.
So, usually a good month, and that would of course be dependent on the kind of services we're offering. So it may not necessarily just be guests coming in to go out and do a dive or to snorkel, but also to learn how to dive, persons trying to get the certification. So on a good month you're talking about maybe 15, 20 or so plus persons coming through with it could be either from doing those kind of services or actually learning to dive. Of course, with the impact of the COVID-19 virus now, the whole worldwide pandemic where everyone is closed, the borders, no flights in, tourists not coming into the island, so that percentage of our income or lifeline has been cut. Not just for us, but majority of the dive shops. So it's.
Martin says local customers continue to show their support and spoke of the unique services they are providing while taking into consideration the social distancing guidelines.
So every so often you still have one or two persons coming through either to do a course or to have their kids do a course, because now of course everything is closed down. Persons are home board trying to find something for the kids to do. So at least with diving courses you could do it online and just have a minimum time of persons coming in to do their courses. So instead of maybe 4 or 5 days in a classroom and of course in the water, doing confined waters and open water dives, you can now do it from the comfort of your home, the theory part. So you just probably come in 2 or 3 days just to get the confined and the open water part done. You'll also of course be able to control the number of persons doing it at a time. So you could do it on a shift with maybe 1 or 2 persons, and you don't have to worry about the social distancing underwater. So I think we're pretty much safe as far as that is concerned. Everything is always rinsed and kept clean. So we pretty much have that part under control.
The manager of Serenity Dive said along with the dive classes, Serenity is engaged in a fish fry and is using the opportunity to be creative.
So we have 4 persons here. However, because of the close knit, with the family, is not just employee, they're not just seen as employees, you know. It's a responsibility for us to still take care of them, and even if we have to go out and find other means and ways of making an income to get everybody having something, you know, that's better than nothing, you know. So we always try to make sure that we keep everything clean, safe, you know, trying to follow the rules, spraying down everyone, and of course we trying to do our fish fry, going out and having guys go out and find, you know, the lionfish and still have things going on. Yeah, we're using this time more not of trying to stress out, but trying to use this time to get creative, trying to do more things, and use this period to probably service equipment and do some, you know, maintenance around the shop instead of just kind of stressing out and frustrating.
The office of Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell has confirmed receiving a letter from this country's Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. The letter by PM Gonsalves coincides with recent statements by the Grenadian leader on the restrictions placed on local borders and travel during the current lockdown due to COVID-19. As we hear in this GBN television news report, while acknowledging the letter from PM Gonsalves, the press secretary to the Grenadian leader said the Prime Minister is busy saving lives.
In a letter, Prime Minister Gonsalves indicated that Prime Minister Mitchell was wrongly advised or badly misinformed on statements regarding the movements to the southern Grenadines, especially Union Island, of Grenadians who belong to Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Prime Minister Gonsalves specifically stated that given the history and culture of free movement of persons between the islands of the southern Grenadines, respectively parts of Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines offered to assist, if assistance were required, with food, medicine and cooking gas, but in a structured and organized manner. Dr. Mitchell, in a statement on Monday, urged citizens to remember that the borders of our country remained closed to all internal and external travels. Dr. Mitchell added that it is alarming that our citizens will be called upon to break the law by the leader of another country, saying it is a grossly irresponsible action that has the potential for not only legal consequences, but also pose a significant threat to public health and public safety. Earlier today, GBN contacted Press Secretary to the Prime Minister, Philomena Robertson, for a response to PM Gonsalves' letter. The statement from the Press Secretary states, and I quote, "I can confirm that the Prime Minister has in fact received the letter from his Vincentian colleague." It went on to say that the Prime Minister is very busy concentrating on making decisions to save the lives of Grenadians in the midst of this global pandemic, and formulating strategies to help the country and its people to deal with the impact of COVID-19. In addition to these very pressing domestic responsibilities in this period of crisis, the Prime Minister must continue to honor his obligations at the regional and international levels, attending meetings with various institutions, all intending to address the far-reaching impact of this pandemic. That's where his time and energy are focused at present and will likely remain so for the foreseeable future.
One of SVG's prominent businessmen, the founder of the Eveready Funeral Home, Cedric Mills, passed away on Wednesday evening. Mills, 79, started the Eveready Funeral Home in the 1960s. His son, Kurt Mills, told SVG-TV News that his father's death was sudden and family members are still coming to grips with his passing.
Sudden, because you could imagine talking to your father and he's fine, perfectly fine, and talking normal, having good conversation, laughing and talking, and then to, in a matter of minutes, you know, losing your father like that. So, yeah, so it was, you know, he was fine. It's not like he was sick in the hospital or sick at home or anything like that. He was fine for the day. He just reported that, you know, he felt ill, and we rushed into the hospital. But by the time I got there, you know, they worked very hard to try to resuscitate him. But, you know, he basically died not too long after.
Kurt said his father had a love for helping people, which was passed on from generations.
He really loved serving people. you know, and he really liked to help people. You know, and a lot of times people come, you know, they don't have a lot of money, you know, sometimes none at all, and he would always try to help people. And he really loved people. I mean, in every which way. You know, he was a very popular guy, you know, he was very friendly, affable guy, you know.
3 young men who were summoned for reckless driving have been fined and disqualified to drive by the court. Appearing before the Kingstown Magistrate Courts today were TJ Dean, the driver of motor vehicle PK417, Javon Jardine, the driver of PV918, and Jelani Douglas, the driver of P4621. They were all fined $1,200 EC dollars to be paid forthwith or face up to 13 weeks in prison, and they were also disqualified for driving for certain periods. Dean was disqualified from driving for 3 months, Jardine for 4 months, and Douglas for 1 year. Upon the circulation of a video on social media showing a number of motorists driving along the Windward Highway between Arnisvale and Sion Hill in what appeared to be a reckless manner, the traffic branch of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force launched an investigation into the incident, which is said to have occurred on April 11th. Upon completion of the investigations, the police instituted proceedings by way of summons against the 3 young men. Ruth Mitchell of Union Island will be added to the list of centenarians in the country tomorrow on her 100th birthday. Ruth was born on April 18, 1920 on Union Island. Ruth, who retired from nursing in 1985, attributes her long life to her belief in God. She is a faithful member of the St. Matthias Anglican Church in Ashton and still sings in the choir from time to time.